that was just the butter before the actual attack. Go on. Yes.
But let's ask some very logical questions. Now that the UCC has been announced in one state, why could it not have been done nationwide? And I'll tell you why. Because this is, except that they want to try and bring the minorities in. And I'm saying this on your show, Rahul, with absolute responsibility. UCC has nothing to do with minorities, in particular with Muslims. Point number one, Rahul, UCC in this country, India, in the Republic of India, already exists from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Nagaland to Gujarat. The Special Marriage Act, which deals with marriage, divorce, succession rights, one country, one law across the length and breadth of this country. I got married in the Special Marriage Act. UCC already exists. Number two, where the state that has UCC, the model state of Goa, where the BJP is in government, on 3rd July 2023, I quote, the Chief Minister of Goa to India Today says, UCC will not be amended. You know why it will not be amended, Rahul? Because in Goa, a male about 35 years of age, Hindu, if he doesn't have a male child, can marry the second time. They will not amend that. In Gujarat, where the Honorable Prime Minister and Home Minister come, there is something called Maitri Karar, where a Hindu male can officially have another woman who's not his wife on contract established by government. They will not amend that or talk about that.
No, but how do you know they won't amend all of this? When the Uniform Civil Code comes...
Tell the BJP, because the Goa Chief Minister told India Today, there is no need to amend it. He told India Today.
That might be his view, but if the government takes a different point of view, then that view will prevail. But okay, let me put that question to the other Mr. Poonawalla. You've already been described by Tehseen as being highly erudite, but the fact is that the Citizenship Amendment Act has been hanging for a long time. The Home Minister has spoken multiple times to me and to others saying that he will implement it soon. It hasn't happened. If this were to get implemented now, the likes of Tehseen, those in the Congress and the opposition will say this is being done to now try and polarize the election. If you were so confident of your development agenda, you wouldn't need to resort to things which are highly communal or highly polarizing. That's your next aim, that Ram Mandir is done, now let's try and polarize around communal lines. That's the charge. Let Shehzad Poonawalla demonstrate his erudition.
First of all, let me return the compliment to Tehseen by saying that he is an extremely intelligent person and therefore perhaps he very smartly comes here disguised as a political analyst and has never taken the membership of the Congress party. So I concede that he is extremely intelligent. And
he may want to be in the Congress. Does the Congress want him? That's a different matter. You're not getting into very raw nerves.
Well, you know, I think that if the Congress doesn't want him, then who does the Congress want? They don't want Milind, they don't want Mamta, they don't want Mayawati, they don't want many other leaders who have given them terms and conditions. Anyways, let's leave that discussion for another day. Now let's come to what Tehseen is saying and what you have referred to. Rahul, either you have to say that already it is too late for the CAA, or you say that the CAA is polarizing and communal. You can't say both the things together. And if indeed the Congress party is saying that CAA is polarizing and communal, then pray, Mahatma Gandhi in 1947 September advocated for CAA when he said that the minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh, because Bangladesh was not created by then, should be entitled to come back to the country and that the Indian government should make arrangements for them if they want to. In fact, in 2003, when Mr. Manmohan Singh was the leader of the opposition, he got up in Parliament and he besieged the then Deputy Prime Minister L.K. Advani, the Home Minister, that immediately a law should be made which would secure the rights of minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh. I have the video. I don't want to waste time playing it. After that, the UPA government, when it was in power, came up with a law that applied to 2 or 3 states where the citizenship was granted to minorities from Pakistan. Apart from that, the Committee of Home Affairs was also, which was headed by Pranab Mukherjee and also had people like Kapil Sibal, in fact went on to the extent to say that only minorities from Pakistan and Bangladesh should be granted citizenship. So now tell me, are these people communal? Were they advocating for something communal? Or in fact, are we now walking the talk of Mahatma Gandhi and all the other principles that Mahatma Gandhi was advocating for? Similarly on UCC, Tehseen Poonawalla comes here and takes one stand, that is fine. But the Congress party on the other hand opposes UCC. For instance, their Kerala leader of opposition is opposed to UCC. I just have a couple of questions for Tehseen. Why does the Congress party, which was the one which put it in the Article 44 Directive Principle of State Policy when it was in the Constituent Assembly? Why is it, when it was in power in Goa, when it was implemented, now opposing UCC? How has it suddenly become a communal project? How is it suddenly now seeing all these kinds of things that have come up and it was not seen back then? Is it purely because of vote bank politics? Because we've seen Shah Banu to Shaira Banu, wherever the Congress gets an opportunity to put at the altar of convenient politics women's rights and women's empowerment, it does that. And therefore today,
the fact
Congress
is
party,
that most people who are watching at this time would think that having a uniform civil code is actually a good idea. The problem with the opposition going on the wrong side of these moves is, at some level the Congress would have wanted to do it themselves. They never could muster the courage to be able to actually walk the talk, which is why it is always a directive principle, never actually something that they sought to implement actively. Now that the BJP is doing it, and by opposing it, you seem to be opposing just for the sake of opposition.
No, Rahul. No, Rahul. With respect, you're wrong there. In 1954, the Congress brought in the Special Marriage Act, which is exactly what the UCC is. What does the UCC not give you? What does the Special Marriage Act not give you? From Jammu and Kashmir to Kanyakumari, it's one act across the country. Now, in the Northeast, even in the UCC that they are talking about across the country, they are saying there'll be exceptions for Northeast. So, look, what you're doing, what you're planning to do in Uttarakhand or Goa is not UCC. It is state common civil code. It's not union civil code. If it is, please tell us it will apply even in the Northeast. They won't. But let me come to the question of CA. And
no, but that's not an illogical way of doing it, Tehseen. If you can do it in states where it's easier to implement, you can allow for it to play itself out for a few years. Others can see that it's not so draconian in the end and that people are benefiting. And that's how you can build that's how you can build consensus around it. If you go into areas where it's highly contentious, you'll have a backlash and that will not get the job done.
Fair point. So then in Goa, where it already exists, which the Congress got in, why is their chief minister telling India today the provision where a Hindu man can marry a second time if he doesn't have a boy child will never be removed?
This concern, Shehzad, that in states where there are particular ironies in the law which are beneficial in a local circumstance, even whether you're Hindu or any other religion, you still want to keep those. Therefore, the concern whether it will actually be a uniform civil code or just done in a very selective fashion.
You know, Tehseen Poonawalla, apart from being very smart and not joining the Congress party officially, is also the only barber in the world who does the hajamat of a baby that hasn't been born. As Tehseen Poonawalla knows, that at the national level, the Law Commission has received over 1 crore suggestions over a central draft of the UCC. And in states where we've committed as part of our manifesto, their committees have been formed, drafts have been created. Now, as far as I am concerned, in Goa, no such process has been started or no such draft has been consulted upon. So Tehseen Poonawalla is trying to predict the name or the gender or things of a baby which has not been born yet. In Uttarakhand, the draft will be in front of us in some time. The cabinet will approve it. Look at that draft and then come to conclusions.
Sure.
But having said that, I want to ask Tehseen Poonawalla. He said because just 10 seconds. Tehseen Poonawalla said there's a Special Marriage Act, therefore we don't need UCC. Tehseen, let me give you an example. Supposing you have 3 daughters and those 3 daughters choose to marry one Hindu, one Muslim and one Parsi according to their religious laws, to their personal laws. Then Tehseen, tell me that on divorce, the girl that marries the Hindu man has different rights from those that marry the Muslim man and those that marry the Parsi man. Why should on divorce one girl have different rights? The same family girl have different rights. She should have the same rights.
I want to go to Rahul as well.
On divorce, whether she divorces A or B or C.
Okay, Tehseen, 10 seconds, I want to go to Rahul as well.
Yeah, just 10 seconds, I agree with other panelists. Shehzad's question itself is wrong, therefore the answer will be wrong. If I hypothetically have 3 girls and they were to marry 3 people of different religion, that would anyways fall under the Special Marriage Act. How can a girl born to me marry under the Hindu Act or the Parsi Act? It's not allowed. Again, you see how the BJP misleads. And the UCC already exists in Goa. Why don't they remove the temptation?
Here's what I want to say. I spoke to the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand this evening. And the fact is that the final draft of the Uniform Civil Code isn't in his hands either. It's still with the committee that's going to give the draft. Till the time you see what is being sought to be implemented, a lot of this is up in the air. But what we know, Rahul Verma, is you got a minister announcing that the Citizenship Amendment Act is going to be introduced in a week, even if it isn't a week, but he's signaled direction and intent. We know that the UCC in Uttarakhand at least will come in early February. It seems these are the 2 next 10 polls. One, on the impact this will have. B, the fact that the BJP has a full arsenal which they're going bang, bang with, and the opposition can't even figure out how to respond.
Your question also has the answer in it, Rahul. You are absolutely right. See, you have to think about since 2019, and by the time we head into polls in April, May 2024, you would see an ideological arc that had been placed by BJP on India's political map, right from abrogation of Article 370 and then Bhumi Pujan of Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, introduction of CA and RC, and many other things happening in between, usage of the term Bharat instead of India in G20, then Ram Mandir in so many, like, the name of Indian Penal Code being changed, Ram Temple inauguration happening, and now the conversation on UCC and CA. In that sense, what BJP has done, combined the nationalism plank and Hindutva plank and the decolonization plank into one. So each of these pieces are part of a larger political narrative with which BJP is going into this poll.
But are these helping the BJP attract new voters, or are they largely just serving the purpose of energizing the base?
See, you do both by this. Unless you energize the base, you cannot attract new voters. And if you don't attract new voters, you cannot expand yourself. And so BJP is basically doing two things, energizing the base and expanding things, but also by swiftly moving from one issue to the other, it's keeping the opposition confused. Opposition is not able to figure out which one issue to tackle and take on. It continues to create a camouflage. Think about when the women's reservation bill was passed in the parliament. For entire 10 days, everyone, including on this show, was debating what all could be actually discussed in the parliament. This is one way of basically creating a camouflage, keeping the opposition off the guard, and setting the agenda of politics the way they want it to be. And so BJP has been a master of this game, at least for last few years. We have seen in the politics, in Indian politics, and Congress and opposition. You rightly
Now, Nitish's
mentioned
departure can have two different kinds of impacts. One is that the opposition begins to fritter away further, that they realize the futility of being with the Congress and start trying to do their own number, or opposition parties could get paranoid that now Nitish is also gone, therefore the delay that we are seeing in seat sharing actually gets negated because they now really hunker down and do as much as can be done. Which of the two do you think is more likely?
Rahul, the question, I think we are focusing on a completely wrong question about 2024 arithmetic. 2024 election results are going to be decided by what happens in Northwestern India. If Congress cannot push BJP, if BJP continues to win Northwestern India as it won in 2014 and 2019, it doesn't matter what seat sharing is happening in West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, because by that time, BJP would be in striking distance of power. If it wins 200, 220 seats in the Northwestern India, then it will pick seats here and there, and it would be around 250, 270. So it's not a... See, we have been confusing. There are three separate questions. Can opposition come together? Can they get to seat sharing? And can they put a challenge to BJP? These are three different questions. What we were trying to do, if opposition comes together, they'll put a challenge to BJP. This is not going to happen automatically. Even if they do seat sharing arrangement, which is happening in UP, do you think BJP will be pushed aside in UP given the political climate that has been developed? So it's not a question of like seat sharing. The opposition needs a clear political articulation of ideas on which they are going to contest 2024, and now it's too late for it. We can all sort of like be cautious and say elections are not over till the day they are over, but you can't prepare on the last day of the exam and think you are going to get 100% marks. So
let Tehseen respond to this. You can't prepare on the last day and think that you laced the exam. It's simply not possible. The fact is the opposition has already lost so much time that this whole thing seems an exercise in futility now.
True. That I completely concede to what Rahul is saying, even more to the northwest versus the south and east. Even assuming the Congress and the alliance was to win everything in South and East India, that's 200 seats. I'm rounding it up. 300 is where the BJP strikes 90%. I concede to all those points. And I do agree on the narrative. Where my problem is, and since I'm a petitioner in CA, is to bring in laws, because the BJP is so much forward, just to fulfill a political agenda, not to give justice actually. The BJP spokesperson isn't even allowing me to go to the Northeast, where UCC will not be implemented, said the BJP when the first time they removed the UCC thing. They will not implement it. In CA, they gave exception to the Northeast. They got the blue line permits out. But Rahul, may I ask one fundamental question to the BJP spokesperson, or why are you? If CA is so important, I think it should come. It's got nothing to do with Muslims. Article 7 of our constitution already gives the government rights to give Pakistan citizens who are Indian origin citizenship. You could have forwarded that. The fact is, why this is anti-Hindu, not actually anti-Muslim CA, which is the issue I'm fighting on. And I'll just take 30 seconds. Assuming a Rohingya Hindu from Myanmar or a Tamil Hindu from Sri Lanka who's been persecuted religiously has come to India, he under Article 14 or she under Article 14 and 21 don't get the same right as somebody from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. So this is fundamentally against Article 14. Now, Afghanistan was never a part of India. So why? And Pakistan is already...
Harsh Madhusudan, do you think this charge will be leveled at this...